channel. I apologize for the landscapers in the background. I didn't really want to wait too long to film, edit, and upload this video, so we're just gonna pretend they're not there, and I'm gonna try to mute them in the background. Today is a very special day. Very, very big day for the Kindle girlies. We are getting our Kindle Colorsofts in the mail between today, tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. And I happen to be fortunate enough to receive mine a day earlier than Amazon had predicted. Everybody was supposed to receive them November 1st, and today is Halloween, so it's October 31st. And I did just receive mine in the mail. As of right now, I have unboxed it. I have started the general setup, and I am using my phone to do the basic setup of it, which y'all have been watching at this point. So it's now just going through some updates and asking me about Wi-Fi and whether I want it to be kid-friendly or not. So far, my first impressions are that the color is stunning. The vibrance and brightness of it is just, to me, great. I already had used the Kobo Libra color for about a week and a half, and I actually returned it because there was a lot of different issues with it, and they were like personal issues, not like product issues. It's a great product, but for me there was just some things that like I couldn't compromise on. So I did end up returning it and just waited out for the Coloursoft. So this is the signature model. It only comes as a signature. I'm just tapping through the next, how to use your Kindle library. Amazon already knows I know how to use a Kindle library very well. Here is what my library looks like in color. Look at how amazing and wonderful that is. I'm finding that the colors are slightly dull, but it's nothing for me to be like, oh my goodness, they're not like, you know, bright. Obviously you're not going to get like this kind of brightness on an e-reader that doesn't have blue light. I mean, if you want something like that, you could just go for an iPad and have the bright colors, but I'm loving this so far. Initial impressions, I'm obsessed. I do not have a case for this yet, so I am definitely seeing that the black is accumulating dust and fingerprints very, very quickly. The back is pretty cool. It's got this like metallic Amazon, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it on the camera. Maybe if I just go up really close. But the Amazon logo is pretty metallic, and I guess that's where it gets the metallic black from. Also, the screen and the border, super sleek. Definitely a fan of that. It comes pre-charged for the most part. It's on 51%. I can live with that. These have a battery life of, I don't know, anywhere from like 4 to 6. Sometimes I can even get 8 weeks out of my Kindle. It really just depends on how often I'm reading on it, and I read on it almost every day, but for how long. So if I'm doing hours and hours and hours at a time, the battery life is a little bit shorter. If I'm just doing a couple minutes here and there, it does get a little bit longer. I want to get my Paperwhite. That way you guys can see the size comparison of the two and just some of the similarities and differences between them. So here on the left is the Coloursoft, here on the right is the Paperwhite. I have the Paperwhite in the matcha green color. And first thing right off the bat that I noticed is that the screen coloration is slightly different. Both of these are warmth 0, I think. Yes. Warmth 0, brightness all the way up to max capacity. This one is a little bit tinted, I guess we could say. It's got more of a, maybe, I don't even know how to describe that. It's not as bright, I can tell you, as this one when both the brightnesses are up at the max. And then we can take a look at page turning. I want to open up the same book on both. So I'm going to tap pages at the same speed so that way you can see they're pretty much on par. I did do the update on my Paperwhite to get the new firmware to make it a little bit faster, and I'm noticing this is still a tad bit faster, but I'm not complaining about the Paperwhite. I do think that it's keeping up, even though it's not a 2024. I'm not sure what year the agave green color came out. I think it's a 2022, if I'm not mistaken, or 2023. So these definitely do tap at the same time. Maybe if we go a little bit faster. This one's still a little bit faster. This one's just kind of keeping up with the log. Another thing I noticed at first glance is that there are no ads. Maybe there are going to be ads eventually, but my front cover, it's going to be kind of dark. Honestly, that's kind of cute. Look at all the books and the little mouse guy on top. I think it's cute. Now, I don't know if this is gonna rotate, but I am going to see about getting the ads off so I can have my book cover up on the front. One thing I did notice is that there's a color style, which is different. So you have standard, which is a balanced color for everyday reading, or you have vivid, which is enhances color in a less saturated image. So let's put on vivid. Maybe we'll see. I think this is going to be great for those that read like graphic novels and want to read them on the Kindle. So you'll be able to see like for comics and mangas and things like that on the Kindle with better image quality. I don't think it's going to do anything to the library of the Kindle. There was another thing I wanted to show. I just want to give another up close of the text. I'm not in the right spot in my book right now, but the text rather crisp, and you can see that there's no blur. I found that with the Kobo there was a bit of a blur, and here it's almost like a physical book quality, which I think is great. So my whole library is which is awesome. Some other books that I have on here, which is great. I am finding it to be a bit bigger than the Paperwhite, which we knew going into this. This is a 7-inch screen. This is a 6.8. Don't quote me on that. I'll put the dimensions on the screen somewhere. So I am finding this to be a bit bigger, which personally don't mind. I like it. I think it's great. Like I said, do not have a case. I can't decide whether I just want to do a clear case. I can already tell you this case that I have for my Paperwhite is not going to fit on the signature. And I'm debating whether to get the wireless charging or not. So stay tuned for that. But I think as of right now, I'm just going to end up plugging it in and calling it a day. That is the unboxing and the setup. First impressions are that this is great. I'm really excited to see what Kindle's going to do as far as other color e-readers going forward, and whether they're going to do like an Oasis in color or a Scribe in color. I think a Scribe in color, that would take the cake for me. That would be very exciting. I'm going to read on this a little bit later on my break and just get the overall vibes from it and let you guys know what my thoughts are moving forward. But so far, I think it's great. I'm really excited to see what power this has, and it's more storage on here too. This is 32 gigabytes. This is, I think, 16? I think it's 16. I don't think it's 32. I feel like I would really remember if it's 32. But again, I'll put the specs of both here on the screen so that you guys can see a compare and contrast of the two. In the meantime, like I said, I'm going to figure out how to get my book covers on here, and I guess I might have to pay to remove the ad. I'm not sure about that. And just read on it some more, maybe get some of my like font layouts and things like that going on here. But oh, that's what I wanted to show. You can change the page color just by doing a quick, you see these circles here, black and white. So you can have the dark mode or you can have a light mode. I typically only keep it in light mode. And if I just want like a calmer reading experience, I'll just raise and lower the brightness. I do find that the brightness is slightly dimmer on the Colorsoft versus the Paperwhite, and that probably has to do with the whole thing of it being in color and it's just not as bright. But I have the brightness right now on 22, and I feel like this is good. I feel like the brightness of 22 on the Paperwhite is like really bright, so I think this is good. It's toned down, it's more of that paper feel, but you still get the color. I think I just talked myself in circles, but hopefully that made sense. I'm going to read on this. Try not to get too many fingerprints on the back. That's like one of my biggest pet peeves, but it seems like as long as my fingers aren't sticky, like there's a little bit of sticky here, fingerprints are not showing, which I think probably has partially to do with the metallic surface of it. I'll check in with y'all later. Oh look, there's another. So what they must have done is they must have just gotten rid of the ads and did drawings instead, which is pretty cool. I still would like to see my book covers on it, so I'm gonna figure that out, and then I'll come back with an update later this afternoon at some point. Quick little commercial break to go grab some coffee, and now I want to take you guys through the Kindle as a whole in case you're wondering like, this is gonna be my first Kindle, how do I navigate this thing? So I wanted to just do a like beginner Kindle 101 with you all. As soon as you turn it on and you log in and you do all the prompts for setting it up and doing the Wi-Fi and your language and all that stuff, you're brought to your library. If this is your first ever Kindle, chances are you won't have this many books and you won't have any of the recommendations popular this month. Amazon Originals you might have. New releases in the Kindle store you'll definitely have. And then there's a recommended for you section. I'll give you a close-up, another close-up of what my library is looking like right now. This is actually, sorry, this is my homepage, but my library is looking like this right now. These are the books that I have just on the top, and then more. I have a lot of books in here. So it's good to have a lot of space for said books. Your library is organized by date, but you can change that to be, so you have a sort by section, most recent, then you could do it ascending or descending. Definitely a lot of options, and then you can organize your stuff by either collections or in a list view. The settings that I have on here are how I like to view my library, especially with most recent being the sort by, because if I download a book, I want it to be up at the top so that I remember to read it. Then when you go and open a book, you're going to have different options for how you want to set up your reading screen. Of course, my Paperwhite's over there to show you a compare and contrast, but there's nothing up at the top. If you can see here on my other Kindle, I have the time, so I want to set that up real quick. The way to set up the time is you go first to, you tap on the screen so that all of these options come up, and you tap on the A. Now it's like your font, your format setting. So we're gonna format the page, which is why we're here. So I always leave the theme as the current theme. It says custom, but I have it just set to the way the Colorsoft came. That's fine with me. It's a typical Kindle setting. Then you can choose your font. There's a bunch of different fonts to choose from. I'm probably just gonna leave it on Bookerly for now. I don't have any preferences as far as fonts go. My font size right now is at 5, so I'm actually going to bring it up to a 8, because I think that's what I have it on my other Kindle. It's either a 7, an 8, or a 9. I don't need it bold. I think that's what was throwing me off, because on my other Kindle it's not bold, and this one the bold was set to 1. So this is what the bold looks like at 0, the font up at an 8. This is pretty good for me. We're getting to the clock. I promise we're gonna put the clock on. I'm just taking you through all of the settings. So then there's layout, where you can choose your margins. Sorry, there's a glare from my windows, but you can, hopefully you can see, you can choose your margins, alignment, compactness, spacing. And then when we go to the more section, there's an option to show clock while reading. I like to turn that on just so that I know what time it is. If I'm reading in the middle of the day, reading in the morning, at night, I don't really care. I just read till whenever. I also like to change the, which one do I usually have it on? The reading progress. You get all these different options here for what you like to see for your progress. So I always leave it on time left in chapter, and then you can, so it has to learn my reading speed before this is a thing, but you can tap the corner and it'll give you your location, and you can turn it off. It gives you your page. So I'm on page 206. And it has to learn my reading speed still for time left in chapter and time left in book. But if you didn't want either of those options, you could just tap the bottom corner. And then in the bottom right corner here, you get your percentage through the book. Those are basically the settings that I set up. There's really nothing else. The color style I learned actually very quickly on our little commercial break to get Duncan, of course. Guys, I've turned into a Duncan girly, and that's a whole other thing. I'll talk about that in the vlog. But the color style being vivid is definitely going to be a game changer for those of you that read comic books, manga, anything with illustrations in it, and you read it digitally. The vivid option is probably going to be for you. For me personally, I don't read a lot of those just yet. I'm more just like chapter books right now. So I'm gonna leave the coloring on standard until I feel like I know more about the vivid setting. I don't know if it takes up more battery. That's the one thing that I'm concerned about, is the battery life. So I'm just gonna leave it on the regular option for now. You can highlight in color. I think I mentioned that. You can highlight in color, and you can organize your highlights by color, which I think is pretty cool. So if you wanted to really dissect a book and highlight according to character quotes, character development, plot twists, things that stuck out to you, emotional things, like you can categorize those, and then you can see like all your emotional quotes or all your plot twists or something, you know, something along those lines. So I think that's pretty cool. That's not something that I personally do. When I tab or annotate or highlight in a book, I typically just pick colors that match the title and then highlight and tab based off of that. So that's probably what I'll continue to do in my Kindle books as well. So if the cover is, I don't know, blue, I'll pick the blue highlighter. If it's a pink or an orange or like a warm color like that, I'll probably just pick a warmer color for my highlights. And yeah, I think those are all the colors. I know there's a pink, a blue, yellow. I'm not sure if there's green, but we can test this out real quick. So let's say I wanted to highlight. So I just picked that one line there. So here are your highlighter color options. You got pink, yellow, blue, and orange. Interesting colors. Pink, yellow, blue, and orange. I'm surprised there's no like green option or even a purple. Since this is the first device that Amazon has come out with as far as a color e-reader goes, I'm not surprised that the options are limited right now. This could easily be like a firmware update. So you can change the color of your highlight. So I just changed it from yellow as the default to now pink. And then if you were to press on your highlight again, you can add a note, you can delete the highlight, and that's where I found the color change. So I'm going to delete the highlight because it was just a random sentence that I chose to highlight. Anything else that I noticed? We already talked about the screen coloration. Oh, the brightness. So I am noticing that the brightness for me personally in my reading routine, the brightness does need to be basically all the way up for this screen to be like readable. So I've been in my room and I get really good lighting in here, and I usually would keep my Kindle around 12, 13, 14 as far as brightness. So this is 13 for brightness. We see it's pretty dim, which I'm not surprised. I'm a little surprised, but I'm not really surprised that they did this. We even bring this brightness down even more. This is brightness 5. It almost looks like the screen is asleep, which is interesting to me. So I'm going to definitely be keeping it up at 20. I think I had it on before. 20 is pretty good for me. I feel like I'm happy with 20. Anywhere from 20 to 24 is going to be good. I think that's everything that I wanted to talk through. I have not yet gotten the artwork off my cover here. I still have to do that, but because I went out and got coffee, I did not sit at the computer and try to putz around with that yet. So that's the next thing I'm going to do. I'll walk you all through that once I get to it, and then that'll be it. I'm going to read on it during the weekly vlog that I'm also simultaneously filming right now. So you get to see more of just me reading on it during the weekly vlog, and then I'll post some final thoughts here once I fix the covers and find out anything else about it. I feel like I'm one of the first people to get it delivered. So once I start figuring out what's going on, I'll let you all know. Last little tidbit of information about the Kindle Colorsoft. I figured out how to get the covers onto the lock screen. So I just went to settings, screen and brightness, and it looks like this. I just turned it on. So you can see at the top where it says show covers on lock screen. I turned that on, and I think that should do it. I'm just gonna go back to my library and open up June 1st, since that's what I'm reading right now. Give it a lock. And there we go. Now my covers are on my lock screen so I can see a color cover. It's a big deal that I'm saying this right now. A colored cover on my Kindle. Try saying that 5 times fast. So that is it as far as the walkthrough goes. The last thing I noticed is that there's this little, like, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it on the camera. It looks like the iPhone speaker up at the top. I wonder what that's going to be used for, if anything, if that has a purpose. I mean, it might just be part of the screen for color and whatnot. But that's it. That's your Kindle Colorsoft. It's the signature edition, like I said. So you do get wireless charging, which is something to note if you want that option. You do have to buy a separate charger for it. It does not come with a wireless charging option. I do not use wireless charging like for my iPhone, so I don't even have anything to test and see like how that would work. But yeah, it's here. It's here. It's here. I'm very excited to use this more later on tonight and in the reading vlog that I'm doing this week. So stay tuned for that. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like this video. It really helps my channel grow. If you enjoyed these videos, please share them because it just also helps my channel grow. And yeah, don't forget to hydrate. Don't forget to have a good day on purpose. And don't forget to drink coffee and read books like my shirt says. And I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.